Hi, Joe Cerrone with CAD 107, Introduction to 3D Printing, in our weekly Zoom meeting. So today I'm going to go through and talk about some of our projects. We printed these projects for the vase, and I'm going to just show what the project looked like. Essentially, what we did was we designed them in CAD. And when you design them in CAD, we're not using the shell command because we want to bring them into the slicing software and use the Spiralize outer contour command, which will print a 1 layer thick contour and then just goes up in the Z-axis every time. So as we start to look at that, what we're going to look at is how that turned out. And so what the project was we would create this shape in CAD, and then we would export it. And so I'll go to my export command here. Other formats. And we'll export this as an STL. I'm just going to throw it into my downloads, if I can find that. No, looks like desktop is good enough. So I'll throw it on my desktop and I'll save it. I'll select the object, I'll hit enter. And then what I would do is I would go into my slicing software and I would open that. And all the projects were too big for the build according to the textbook. So I had to scale them all down. And so I'll come over here to the scale command. And then if you have it with uniform scaling, everything stays proportional. So I'll just go with 50%. And then once you scale it, you need to move it until it kind of gravitates itself to the build plate. And you can see it'll go all the way through the build plate. But if I hover it just above it, it will attach itself and turn blue and get rid of the zebra stripes on it. And so once I have it attached, then what I want to do is I want to go down to the special modes here, and I want to set it up for Spiralize outer contour. And so this is just a checkbox. I'll check that off and I'll prepare it. And I guess I should probably look at it without Spiralize outer contour as well. So I'll look at both ways. And we can see that we have a build time of 55 minutes. And I can also go through the layers and we can take a look at how the layers turned out. And so as I look at this, you can see there's just one layer, and this is where we're getting some of the failures on it. And so what was happening was we were bringing in some other projects from other students, and they look good on the computer, but they didn't quite work in real life. So let's see how those projects turned out. Switching to camera 2. I have my tabletop camera and it's a little glitchy, but it seems if I don't touch the wires, maybe it'll not give me a big problem. But with the linear orientated projects, they worked out really quite well. And so as long as we didn't have any big curves, as you can see with these projects, they came out really quite nice. I also found what's nice is that if I use a good build plate adhesion, it actually kind of helps create a base for the vase. And so you can look at creating a raft or a brim for that, and that'll make that. But what was happening was when we had a radius, an internal radius like this right here, we were getting failures. And a couple of people had that same failure on it, where it just can't work with that kind of a slope. So it just starts to print in the air and it loses the adhesion. What was neat about this was it kind of corrected itself and then it finished it at the top. So that's how our models turned out. The ones that were more linear turned out really great. Also, make sure that you start to brand your projects within 3D Builder. And I'll give a quick review on that right now. So switching back to my screen, and actually I probably should have, I still have it. I should have turned off the screen. As I get better at this, I will work with that. So in CAD, we've created this part and we exported it as an STL. And then what we want to do is we want to go into 3D Builder. And we want to open that STL file. And so I'm going to say load object. And I'm going to go to my desktop. And here's my project from this morning. And so that's my project. And then I'm going to accept it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it. And I kind of like to zero them out. And so what I'll do is I'll click on the x-axis and I'll say 0. And I'll click on the y-axis and I'll say 0. And that'll move the part to a origin in the center of it. And then what I'll do, let me see if I can switch that other camera so it stops doing that. There we are. And let me see which camera I'm on. Okay, I'm going to go to my other camera. There we go. So as I'm working with this project, I bring it in, I zero it out, and then I go to the edit command and I say emboss. And if I want to emboss it, I have to kind of manipulate where it's going to be. And so I can use the move to move the geometry onto a part of the vase that I'd like to emboss. And then I can type in what I'd like. I can say Oakton College, something big, see how it works. And then I can rotate that. And so I can grab it and spin it like that. And that's good. That's good enough. It tells me whose it is. I'll know when I print it. I check mark the emboss function. And then I save it as my updated project with a 3MF file. Now, sometimes when we bring these into the slicer, it has like a little shadow on the floor of the part. And so I'm going to delete this one out and I'm going to open my new file. I'm going to scale it 50%. It's too big. And this one came in fine. It doesn't have, it does have this a little bit of a shadow thing here, but it's going to fit on the build plate. And then I can, if I prepare this without Spiralize Outer Contour, we can see how long it will take. So if I uncheck Spiralize Outer Contour and prepare it, we're looking at a 4-hour and 21-minute build time. If I check off the Spiralize Outer Contour under Special Modes and then re-prepare it, we're under less than an hour. So it's 25% of the original time, which is great. We always want to go with something quicker. And you can also see that it will put the emboss on it without any build material. Sometimes if I have generate support material checked and prepare it, it'll make a little island that supports the letters like this, which you don't need to do because the letters don't stick out that much. And so I'm going to get rid of my generate support. Okay, so that's how the vase project turned out, and that's how we're turning those in. Just a quick review of that. Let's take another look at some of the other projects that we're working on. So I'm going to stop this video and I'm going to make a second video for the other projects. So this was our vase project, and just a quick review of that. I'm going to stop my share and I'm going to switch over to my camera. So with our vase project, what we found was that linear projects printed out much better, where if they don't have a lot of curviness, they worked out really well. And so here's some examples, and these are very close to my original design. And you can emboss your name on these as well. And then when we started working with these more curved shapes, what was happening was they were failing mostly in this area right here, where the bend radius just wouldn't support the build. But it built super nice up to that point where the radius changed. And then it built it again, even though it failed in the air. So that's our quick review of our project for the base. I'm going to stop this camera. It's driving me crazy. And I'm going to stop this recording, and we're going to do another recording for our next project.